If you play video games, you're probably trained not to expect big twists in a story, and it's for a simple reason. Twists take a lot of development effort. Usually that means new characters, new artwork, new enemies, new locations, and that stuff is always at a premium in games, but some of the most memorable stories in video game history featured completely unexpected twists. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 game stories that go completely off the rails. Now, sometimes plots go in wild new directions. Today, what we're basically doing is listing some of our favorites and also some of our not so favorites. These are games that just slap you in the face with a totally unexpected path that you have to go down because there's no going back. Like, to truly belong on this list, a game needs to not just have an unexpected ending. Like, a significant chunk of the game has to be a bizarre turn. So, starting off at number 10, it's Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, you want to talk about plots that are just spinning out of control, then you can't not mention Metal Gear Solid 2. Very few games, particularly ones that are developed by a AAA studio, have the audacity, the gall, to go this far beyond our expectations. Like, this is all just metatextual madness. Like, this is a game that had already pissed everyone off by having a secret new protagonist that replaces Solid Snake about 2 hours in, and that's nothing compared to where this game goes. You have to give it to Hideo Kojima. He does not try to please fans here, and good for him. Near the end of the game, you discover a mysterious conspiracy led by a group known as the Patriots, and they've built a giant weapon called Arsenal Gear. You also learn that the Big Shell incident, the thing that Raiden, the new character, is dealing with, was actually designed as a training program to sort of mold someone into a new Solid Snake, a legendary hero with incredible sensibilities. Like, the Colonel Campbell you're talking to that whole time is an AI program, and it starts to glitch insane and spits like strange non sequiturs at you.
Your role, that is mission, is to infiltrate the structure and disarm the terrorists.
My role? Why do you keep saying that?
Why not? This is a type of role-playing game. The point is that you play out your part, and I expect you to turn in a perfect performance.
It's jarring, and it sticks with you too. We end up talking about dishwashers and I Need Scissors 61. It's all bizarre. Our new hero, Raiden, eventually infiltrates Arsenal Gear, and he does it with Solid Snake. But what you would think is them wrapping things up, ending all of this madness. But no, it only gets weirder. The insides of Arsenal Gear are named after body parts. Solid Snake has infinite ammo due to his bandana, and the strange interiors look more like a VR simulation than a real place. Like, is any of this real? I have no idea. And that's what makes the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 such a disorienting experience. At number 9 are the flying kung fu flights of Indigo Prophecy. Like, if MGS2 confused you, the last quarter of Indigo Prophecy is just blindsiding you with nonstop madness. What starts out as a pretty down-to-earth crime thriller with a supernatural twist takes a completely bizarre turn later in its story, and not joking here, your hero pretty much gains Neo, like from the Matrix style powers, and kung fu fights living embodiments of artificial intelligence. There's multiple secret societies and clans, and the world is apparently ending due to a sudden onset ice age. Beyond that, I don't know how to summarize this. Just watch the cutscene above and try to soak it all in. Sometimes weird is good. This, let's just say David Cage decided to tone down the flying kung fu battles in his future games. And number 8 is Bloodborne, which blindsided us with truths we are not ready to see. All the Souls-like games feature a minor running theme of curiosity and its dangers. Bloodborne goes all in. The game tempts us with dark knowledge we aren't meant to know, and in the lead up to the game, trailers had only given us glimpses into it. The game begins with beastly humans and werewolf-like monsters with a strange sickness turning men into mutated animals. Later in the game, you discover the source of the madness, and Lovecraftian is really the only word you can use to describe it. After stepping through the bottom of a lake and doing battle with a legless spider, you're sent spiraling through a mirage of nightmarish locations. As your knowledge increases, based on a stat called Insight, you'll see more more strange things that were once invisible. Returning to the city with your eyes open, you see something completely terrifying. The kin reveal in Bloodborne is one of the most disturbing moments in any game, and it's exactly the kind of creativity weirdos like myself hope to see. And number 7, the infamous ending of Xenogears is a completely different beast than what we've been talking about so far. MGS2 was a pretty heavy ending, but the story basically resolved itself. Like, it all had something to do with what was going on. With Xenogears, on the other hand, wow. The developers just ran out of time, which led to an absurdly rushed, flat-out bizarre Disc 2. Now, unlike a normal JRPG, and keep in mind we're talking about JRPGs, so we use the normal in a specific context here, you will be told the story on Disc 2 through a series of black screens. The player doesn't really play. Like, you complete some of the events, sure, you fight some of the bosses, but it's all disconnected because the game just wasn't finished. And we're not just talking about the ending, like, it's a huge chunk of the game. Usually in cases like this, games reconfigure the story and allocate resources to land on like a satisfying conclusion. For Xenogears, they, I guess, barreled ahead and just found a really strange solution to what is actually a pretty common problem in the game industry. If you ever wonder why developers say like a game isn't done until it's done, just play Disc 2 of Xenogears. You'll get it. At number 6, fighting against Fate in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, this is, of course, the most recent game on our list, and even though we've given a spoiler warning, this is a fairly new game still, and a lot of people actually haven't played it who still want to, so you're gonna get spoiled. That said, the trick of the Final Fantasy VII Remake is that it isn't a true remake, it's actually a sequel. Like, when your party arrives to infiltrate Shinra Tower, you continue to battle this strange force of weird-looking ghosts and stuff that's desperate to keep events in line with how they were originally happening. And I don't know, Barrett dies, but then he's revived. For the while, the game just really throws a lot of curveballs at you. As it turns out, Aerith is actually trying to change fate to defeat Sephiroth. Like, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is, like I said, a literal sequel. It is happening with at least one of the characters having knowledge of how everything plays out, and through her connection with the live stream, is attempting to change history. So, after defeating a giant embodiment of fate, the game ends with a realization that anything could happen from there. So where the game goes could be very, very different, or maybe not, but they definitely came up with a way to keep you guessing. And number 5, Little King Story is an offbeat game about a little king, making his way in a fairy tale kingdom. You lead kind of a Pikmin-like army and explore storybook land and gain allies and make your kingdom even better. That all changes, however, in the utterly bizarre ending of the game, which happens after you acquire a spaceship, rocket out of the fairy tale land, and land somewhere a little more familiar. The scribble-like drawing of the king and his companions literally arrive in a young boy's room, where they're about as small as a tiny drawing in a notebook. You navigate the real world to do battle with a nefarious rat to complete the game, like an actual rat. Yeah, it's weird. At number 4 is Killer 7. Now, this game doesn't start normal and it doesn't become normal. Every level throws you for a loop in some way, but the ending is off the wall bizarre, slapping you with tonal whiplash and hitting you with something you're probably completely unprepared for. In Killer 7, you play as a game of assassins that fight invisible, exploding mutant terrorists called Heaven Smiles. For most of the game, you're traveling around, hunting monsters and defeating the weirdos that may or may not be responsible for the outbreak. And all this falls apart in the ending. Instead of hunting more targets assigned to you, Team Wrangler Garcian Smith explores a hotel where it turns out he killed all the other members of the Smith Syndicate. Like, all those other characters you were playing, they're all dead, and Garcian somehow has the power to manifest them. Now, that's really weird. But, I mean, we're not even talking about exploring the basement of your home where you discover the main villain of the game cowering in a gimp suit. Then it skips 100 years in the future. Like, there's a fair amount to take in, let's say. And number 3, Frog Fractions is a deceptive game. Designed to look like an educational game for teaching grade school math, Frog Fractions became a minor phenomenon thanks to an evolving, unexpected story that takes your amphibious hero to underwater, to Bugmars, and finally to the White House. It's a deeply silly joke game that plays with the player's expectations. And then the sequel pulled off this trick so well that nobody was even able to discover it. Frog Fractions 2 was hidden in another completely different game called Glittermitten Grove. This game had actually been released for weeks before anybody figured out Frog Fractions 2 was a part of it, and the sequel's even more bizarre, with different layers of games, text adventure segments, and more weird stuff. Like, imagine playing one of those games with no clue there's more than meets the eye. And number 2, Hypnospace Outlaw is one of the funniest games of the generation. A loving parody of Web 1.0 and the creative, earnest spirit of the early 90s internet. If you're a kid that grew up when the internet first became ubiquitous, there's plenty of nostalgia to mine as you explore crude websites written by teenagers, music fans, and religious old ladies. Things do take a dark turn, however. So in Hypnospace Outlaw, you play as a moderator of Hypnospace OS, which is the internet players connect to in their dreams. As you play, you discover a hack that causes a lot of deaths, which shuts down the services, and jumping players decades into the future where former Hypnospace OS users are compiling a Wayback Machine-like database of what happened. Like, it's kind of somber and a bit sad, and just completely changes the mood as you reconnect with people that seem to be one-off jokes. We all had to grow up sometime, I guess. And finally, at number 1, Fire Emblem Three Houses, which starts off as a relatively lighthearted tactical RPG, where your team of nobles train for war, like you have to pick your house, but all three are allies of the same kingdom. You work together, fight alongside one another, and form relationships. Until the cruel twist in the second half. Edelgard, leader of one of the houses, has been working against the church in secret. Those weird enemies you've been fighting, that was your ally all along, and you have to decide whether to work with her or fight her. No matter what you choose, it plunges the three houses into a deadly civil war, and every mission you'll be forced to kill at least some of your old friends, and only a select few can actually be spared. The twist turns what appears to be an incredibly lighthearted game, certainly one of the most lighthearted in the series up until that point, into probably one of the darkest. It doesn't exactly fly off the rails, but it's so unexpected, it threw all of us completely off the tracks when it happened. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.